Alright, so seeing as I have no internet right now, and pretty much my whole life revolves around the internet, from personal stuff to work, I can't really do anything. So, I have this book that I've been borrowing for months but haven't actually gotten to read yet, and I guess I'm gonna read that now. So we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and it says at the bottom, lesbian necromancers explore a haunted Gothic palace in space, from Charles Stross. Oh, this looks pretty cool. Nice quotes. Let's see. Brought up by unfriendly, ossifying nuns, ancient retainers, and countless skeletons, Gideon is ready to abandon a life of servitude in an afterlife as a reanimated corpse. She packs up her sword, her shoes, and her dirty magazines, and prepares to launch her daring escape, but her childhood nemesis won't set her free without a service. Harrohark Nona Gesimus, Reverend daughter of the Ninth House and Bone Witch extraordinaire, has been summoned into action. The Emperor has invited the heirs to each of his royal houses to a deadly trial of wits and skill. If Harrowhark succeeds, she will become an immortal, all-powerful servant of the resurrection, but no necromancer can ascend without their cavalier. Without Gideon's sword, Harrow will fail and the Ninth House will die. Of course, some things are better left dead. Okay, let me go back to that name. Is it gonna be Harrowhark or is it gonna be Harrowark? Like how it's not Stoneham, it's Stoneham. I feel like Harrowark might make more sense. And then this is Nonagesimus? I mean, it's Latin, obviously. I think I'll go back and forth on that. But I think I'm gonna say Harrowark instead of Harrowhark. That might make more sense. Maybe Nonagesimus? No. I don't know. I don't know about the last name. Okay. Alright. So this was published before the third book got released. Okay. For PT it says... Oh, this looks really cool. Dramatis Personae, in order of house appearance. So we have the Ninth House. It says keepers of the Lot Tomb, House of the Sewn Tongue, and Black Vestals. Okay, hope they get more into that later. We have Harrowark, Nona. I don't know. I think it's Nonagesimus. I'm gonna say Nonagesimus for now, but it's interchangeable, I think. So we got Harrowark, Nonagesimus, heir to the House of the Ninth, Reverend daughter of Drearber. Okay. Pelamena, no one. Oh, this is all Latin. This is all Latin. I don't know if this is ecclesiastical Latin or if this is classical Latin. If this is probably ecclesiastical Latin. But yeah, because of the CH. If it was classical Latin, I would say Novenarius, but it's probably Novenarius. Okay. Which would probably make sense. Okay, so. Alright, Ecclesiastical 1, fine. Alright, so we have Hawork, Nonagesmus, we have Peleamena, Novenarius, we have Priamac, Nonius Vianus, they're making this hard, Ortis Niganad, Niganad, okay, Crux, Aglamene, or that might be Aglamene. That might be Aglamene. Sister Lacrimorta, Sister Aizamorta, Sister Glorica, and Gideon of. And I don't know what Dribber is. Maybe they'll explain that later. Okay, we've got first house. Necromancer Divine, King of 9 Renewals, our Resurrector, the Necrolord Prime. Okay, the Emperor, his lictors, and the Priesthood of Canaan House. Okay. Interesting. My neck is hurting. I'm gonna lift this up a little. Alright. The second house. Oh, I like that. The Emperor's Strength, House of the Crimson Shield, the Centurion's House. Judith. Now we're getting into Greek. Oh, now we're getting into Greek. Okay. Judith Deuteros, heir to the house of the second rank captain of the cohort, and Marta Diaz, cavalier primary to the heir ranked first lieutenant to the cohort. Cool. The third house, Mouth of the Emperor, the procession, House of the Shining Dead. The Emperor's mouth. Oh, interesting. Interesting. They've all got, interesting. So this is the Emperor itself. Sun tongue. Okay. This is interesting. Okay. So, let me do something real quick. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit tricky for me since I haven't drawn in a while, but let me make sure that this works. Okay, cool. Frick. Kite head, woo! Okay, so let's say the houses are built together, not necessarily like landscape rivers and stuff like that, but as like the emperor's body, like the emperor itself, like the old emperor itself is just like a giant skeleton or giant corpse, and all the houses are whatever's living inside it, in whatever area. Kind of like, what's that video game he keeps playing, where the landscape is just one giant fossil. in the middle of space. I forget. Might come to my lair, probably not. So we've got, let's just draw the body first. Yeah, let's just draw the body first. And also the brain. He has a brain too. So we've got, I'm so bad at drawing. We've got, let's just draw a freaking stick figure or something. I don't know. I'm bad at drawing. I haven't drawn in a long time. I'm just gonna draw the eyes, eye socket, nose socket, cheekbone socket, other socket. Just going off what the book is doing right now. Then here are, here are the teeth. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. I should have the jaw open because of the sewn tongue. So, make this a little bit wider. Okay. And then, I don't know what to do from there. Draw that, and heck, okay. Alright, that last part was really bad. Let me redo that. Okay, that part looks better. That looks better. Let me just make sure that this is actually indicated as teeth. Alright, good enough. We have a head. So then in the ninth house, there's a tongue that is sewn in. There's the tongue right there. I'm gonna give it some stitches. To show that it's sewn in. And I'm gonna say that this here is the ninth house. So they're living on the sewn tongue. I'm taking this way too fucking literally. I'm taking this way too literally. But let's just go on with it. So that's the ninth house. And then the general mouth. I'm gonna put this in pink. The general mouth area. That is gonna be, well, I'm gonna shade it in pink a little more. No. Shade that, give them some lips. I don't know. Give lips. Yeah, that's generally the mouth of it. I'm gonna say that is the third house. So we've got the sewn tongue, we've got the mouth itself. Yeah. We can do the heart. I can't draw like regular hearts, so like anatomically accurate hearts, so I'm just gonna draw a heart right here, shade it in red, and say this is the 5th house. It says it watches over the river, so I'm imagining there are veins as well. Because like the heart has chambers and arteries and stuff. So watches over the river. We have the 2nd house, which is his strength. So I'm imagining, I'm not gonna imagine like muscles, right? But let's see like where skeletons generally have strength, like where people generally have strength. It's like, well, let me give you a neck, I guess. Let me give you a neck, and then this is gonna be terrible. I mean, this might work from the heart's perspective, but let's say that like the face of the emperor is like fully decomposed, but the arms and legs are not quite there yet. So these are like the arms. I'm not gonna be perfect in this, but they're the arms, and I did not give myself enough room there, but you'll know what I'm talking about. He's got the legs. So where... Actually, I think it might just be the arms. Yeah, so... I think the 2nd house might live in the arms. So this is number 2. Give that. Yeah. So number 2 lives in the arms, like on that top half there. And that's 5. 4th house is going to be tricky. 6th house? 6th house is the brain. 6th house is definitely the brain, because it's the reason. So we've got brain right here. Gonna make it like orange. orange and stuff. Actually, let me shade in the brown here too. And this is the brain, the reason this is gonna be the 6th house. I kind of want the joy to also be in the brain, but I don't know, that might, I don't know. We've got hope. We have hope, joy, and keepers of the tomb left. The forgiving house. Oh, we still have. Yeah, hope is the sword. Hi, Kat. Hi, Leo.
Hi. Max.
Okay, hi, Kat. So, if the 4th house says it's the Emperor's sword, then let's, literally speaking, draw a sword. Where is my mouse cursor? There it is. Let's make it yellow. Let's make it yellow, because hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. I don't know why I sang that, but that is a very, that's a dagger, that's not a sword. Cat, you closed my book. Let's make this somewhat fancy, I guess. This is just a rough drawing. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. That's all I remember from that song. And make this a little darker. Okay. Okay, now that looks more swordy. And I can scribble that in. And give it like little insignias and stuff. Where is my mouse cursor? There it is. So that, hello cat, you like to rub things with face. That is the, what is that, 6th? Cat, I need to reopen the book. Cat.
Go.
It's the 4th house. I forgot it's the 4th house. Yeah. So, 4th. Did I? No. Frick. So that's the 4th house. And then all we have left is joy and keepers of the tomb. Okay, so let me do joy first. I think I might change something up, because I've been taking the heart of the Emperor really literally, but also joy could be inside the heart. So what if what if the heart of the emperor was actually the stomach? So, because it makes sense with like the stomach acid and such. Like, it might not literally be the heart, but it could be the stomach. So I'm gonna make joy the 7th house. Heart gives joy. And then I'm gonna make stomach. I've already done orange. I've already done red. Let's do this one. No, I don't like that color. Let me do this. Do this one. Okay. We got the stomach. This is what I think a stomach looks like from memory. Yeah, so we've got the stomach, and there's stuff going in and out of it. They probably reuse the stomach to like get water, put water in it, so there might be water in the stomach flowing through, and then you've got like the intestines. No, I did not want that. Nah. Fine. I want this color. Good. Yeah. So maybe they've got like the intestines as the river. So that might be like the heart of it, because that's also like a very important part of the system. So I'm gonna say that is the 5th one. Like, it's the heart is in like the middle of it that flows through the rivers, not like the actual heart, because the heart could be joy. And then lastly, we have the keepers of the tomb. I was thinking maybe that would also be the stomach, but I think if this is like a casket of a giant corpse, might as well just give it an actual tomb, And there we have very rough drawing of the 8th house. Okay, so all together we have the... Oh, I forgot the 1st house. Okay, so I think I said maybe before that I think the emperor itself is the 1st house, and then like the lictors and the priesthood of the Canaan house. I think, where did I just put? There it is. I think it would be best to like have the priests be like in the eyes, and maybe the nasal cavity, because those are the only places besides the mouth where like you can see from up above, and maybe you can have like a light from the tomb or the casket shining down, and you can pray to some sort of god that way. So the eyes and the nasal cavity, that could be the 1st house. Okay? Yeah, I don't know why. Switching from tablet pen to mouse makes the line thickness different. But, yeah, so we have the priesthood in house 1 being like in the eyes and the nasal cavity. And then 2 is strength. That goes in the arms, the upper chest area. 3 is the mouth, so they live like right around the mouth cavity, the jaw cavity. Number 4 is hope, and is a sword, so they literally live around the sword. They probably worship it and protect it and stuff. Number 5 is the heart. Like I said before, I don't think it's literally the heart because I preserved that for 7 for joy. So I think like the heart of it is like actually in the middle of the body, which would be the stomach and the intestines. And they use the paths of the stomach and intestines as the little river. I mean, it could also be like at the heart with like the veins as the rivers, but I feel like the stomach is more fitting personally. Then 6 is reason. It's in the brain. I'm a little disappointed about that, but that's where I think it fits best. Unless if it's like in the armpit or something, I don't know. But 7, like I said, it's in the heart. 8 is the keeper of the tomb. So there's like a big old casket. And then 9 is literally the sewn tongue. So I drew a tongue with stitches. So yeah, that didn't take a long time. We're only 30 minutes into this. So yeah, I think we're doing good. I'll have to ask about this theory later. But yeah, this could be cool. Okay, this next page here is very interesting. Yeah, this is a very interesting one. So, it's a poem on the houses. Notice that the first house is not mentioned here. It's only 2 through 9, which makes me think that the emperor, it kind of validates, I guess, the theory I had about the emperor just being a corpse, but not entirely sure. So we have 2 is for discipline, heedless of trial. 3 for the gleam of a jewel or a smile. 4 for fidelity facing ahead. 5 for tradition and debts to the dead. 6 for the truth over solace and lies. 7 for beauty that blossoms and dies. 8 for salvation no matter the cost. 9 for the tomb and for all that was lost. Okay, interesting. So this is more pertaining to like what the skulls look like here than anything I drew, because the 3rd house is the jewel. You have the 4th house has a laurel wreath. I guess that signifies fertility. 7th house for beauty. 8th house. Yeah, that's for like. I think that's for like worshiping. I remember seeing this thing in the Black Star by David Bowie music video. There's a scroll in the 6th house. I don't know what the 5th house is. It is a crown, similar to the 4th house, but I don't know exactly what it is. And all it says is 5 for tradition and debts to the dead. So this could be some other cultural thing I don't know about. I'll have to look into that later. But yeah, this is more pertains to like what the skulls look like than anything else up here. It gets a bit silly the more I look at it. But yeah, interesting that 1 is not here. Okay, so now we have Act 1. We have all the skulls again. Whee! Alright. Chapter 1. In the myriadic year of our Lord, the 10,000th year of the king undying, the kindly prince of death. That is pretty funny. Gideon now packed her sword, her shoes, and her dirty magazines, and she escaped from the house of the Ninth. She didn't run. Gideon never ran unless she had to. In the absolute darkness before dawn, she brushed her teeth without concern and splashed her face with water, and even went so far as to sweep the dust off the floor of her cell. She shook out her big black church robe and hung it from the hook. Having done this every day for over a decade, she no longer needed light to do it by. This late in the equinox, no light would make it here for months. In any case, you could tell the season by how hard the heating vents were creaking. She dressed herself from head to toe in polymer and synthetic weave. She combed her hair, then Gideon whistled through her teeth as she unlocked her security cuff and arranged it and its stolen key considerately on her pillow like chocolate in a fancy hotel. Ooh, okay. Leaving her cell and swinging her pack over one shoulder, she took the time to walk down 5 flights to her mother's nameless catacomb niche. This was a pure sentiment, as her mother hadn't been there since Gideon was little and would never go back in it now. Then came the long hike up 22 flights the back way, not one light relieving the greasy dark, heading to the split-off shaft and the pit where her ride would arrive. The shuttle was due in 2 hours. Out here you had an unimpeded view up to a pocket of night sky. It was soupy white where the atmosphere was pumped in thickest and thin and navy where it wasn't. The bright bead of Dominicus winked benignly down from the mouth of the long vertical tunnel. In the dark, she made an opening amble of the field's perimeter, and she pressed her hands up hard against the cold and oily rock of the cave walls. Once this was done, she spent a long time methodically kicking apart every single innocuous drift and hummock of dirt and rock that had been left on the worn floor of the landing field. She dug the shabby steel toe of her boot into the hard-packed floor, but satisfied with the sheer improbability of anyone digging through it, left it alone. Not an inch of that huge, empty space did Gideon leave unchecked. And as the generator lights grumbled to half-hearted life, she checked it twice by sight. She climbed up the wire mesh frames of the floodlights and checked them too, blinded by the glare, feeling blindly behind the metal housing, grimly comforted by what she didn't find. She parked herself on one of the destroyed humps of rubble in the dead center. The lamps made lackluster any real light. They explosively birthed malformed shadow all around. The shades of the ninth were deep and shifty. They were bruise-colored and cold. Ooh. In these surrounds, Gideon rewarded herself with a little plastic bag of porridge. It tasted gorgeously gray and horrible, okay? And the morning started as every other morning had started in the ninth since the ninth began. She took a turn around the vast landing site just for a change of pace, kicking absently at an untidy drift of grit as she went. She moved out to the balcony tier and looked down at the central cavern for signs of movement, worrying porridge from her molars with the tip of her tongue. After a while, there was the faraway upward clatter of the skeletons going to pick mindlessly at the snow leaks in the planter fields. Gideon saw them in her mind's eye, mucky ivory in the sulphurous dim, picks clattering over the ground, eyes a multitude of wavering red pinpricks. The first bell clanged its uncannerous complaining bell for beginning prayers, sounding as always like it was kicked down some stairs. I see sort of a blah blang, blah blang, blah blang that had woken her up every morning that she could recall. Movement resulted. Gideon peered down at the bottom where shadows gathered over the cold white doors of Castle Deerbrook. Stately in the dirt, set into the rock, 3 bodies wide and 6 bodies tall. 2 braziers stood on either side of the door and perpetually burned fatty, crappy smoke. Over the doors were tiny white figures in a multitude of poses, hundreds to thousands of them, carved using some weird trick where their eyes seemed to look right at you. Whenever Gideon had been made to go through those doors as a kid, she screamed like she was dying. Oh. Yeah, that sounds very traumatizing. More activity in the lowest tiers now. The light had settled into visibility. The ninth would be coming out of their cells after morning contemplation, getting ready to head for Horizon, and the Drirber retainers would be preparing for the day ahead. They would perform many a solemn and inane ritual in the lower recesses. Gideon tossed her mighty porridge bag. Gideon tossed her empty porridge bag over the side of the tier and sat down with her sword over her knees, cleaning it with a bit of rag. 40 minutes to go. Suddenly, the unchanging tedium of a ninth morning changed. The first bell sounded again. Blang! Blah blang! Blah blang! Gideon cocked her head to listen, finding her hands had stilled on her sword. It rang fully 20 times before stopping. Muster call. After a while came the clatter of the skeletons again, having obediently tossed down pick and hoe to meet their summons. They streamed down the tiers in an angular current, broken up every so often by some limping vigor and vestments of rusting black. Gideon picked up her sword and cloth again. It was a cute try, but she wasn't buying. She didn't look up when heavy, stumping footsteps sounded on her tier, or for the rattle of rusting armor and the rusty battle of breath. Ooh, rusty rattle of breath. Oof, I am not good at reading today. 30 whole minutes since I took it off, Crux, she said, hands busy. It's almost like you want me to leave forever. Oh, shit, you absolutely do, though. You ordered a shuttle through deception, bawled the Marshal of Deirbre, whose main claim of fame is that he was more decrepit alive than some of the legitimately dead. He stood before her on the landing field and gurgled with indignation. You falsified documents, you stole a key, you removed your cuff, you wronged this house, you misused its goods, you steal its stock. Come on, Crux, we can come to some arrangement. Gideon coaxed, flipping her sword over and looking at it critically for Nix. You hate me, I hate you. Just let me go without a fight and you can retire in peace. Take up a hobby, write your memoirs. You wrong this house, you misuse its goods, you steal its stock. Crux loved verbs. Say my shell exploded. I died, and it was such a shame. Give me a break, Crux. I'm begging you here. I'll trade you a skin mag. Frontline titties of the 5th. What the fuck? This rendered the Marshal momentarily too aghast to respond. Okay, I take it back. Frontline titties isn't a real publication. Crux advanced like a glacier with an agenda. Gideon rolled backward off her seat as his antique feast came down, skidding out of his way with a shower of dust and gravel. Her sword she swiftly locked within its scabbard, and the scabbard she clutched in her arms like a child. She propelled herself backward, out of the way of his boot and his huge, hoary hands. Whoa, these are some words right here. Crux might have been very nearly dead, but he was built like gristle with what seemed like 30 knuckles to each fist. He was old, but he was goddamn ghastly. Easy, Marshal, she said, though she was the one floundering in the dirt. Take this much further, and you're in danger of enjoying yourself. You talk so loudly for chattel, Nav, said the Marshal. You chatter so much for a debt. I hate you, and yet you are my wares and inventory. I have written up your lungs as lungs for the 9th. I have measured your gall as gall for the 9th. Your brain is a base and shriveled sponge, but it too is for the 9th. Come here, and I'll black your eyes for you and knock you dead. Whoa. That is insane. That is an insane roast right there. Gideon slipped backward, keeping her distance. Crux, she said. A threat's meant to be, come here, or... And then he goes, come here, and... I'll black your eyes for you and knock you dead. Croaked the advancing old man. And then the lady has said that you will come to her. Only then did Gideon's palms prickle. She looked up at the scarecrow towering before her, and he stared back, one-eyed, horrible, baleful. The antiquated armor seemed to be rotting right off his body, even though the livid, overstretched skin on his skull looked in danger of peeling right off. Ew. He gave the impression that he simply wouldn't care. Wow. Gideon suspected that, even though he had not a whit of necromancy in him, the day he died, Crux would keep going anyway out of sheer malice. Black my eyes and knock me dead, she said slowly, but you lady can go right to hell. Crux spat on her. That was disgusting, but whatever. His hand went to the long knife kept over one shoulder in a mold-splattered sheath, which he twitched to show a thin slice of blade. But at that, Gideon was on her feet with her scabbard held before her like a shield. One hand was on the grip, the other on the locket of the sheath. They both faced each other in impasse, her very still, the old man's breath loud and wet. Wow, they want you to know this guy. This guy here is like an undead asshole. Like, not even undead, but just like a nearing dead asshole who lives out of spite. Gideon said, Don't make the mistake of drawing on me, Crux. You're not half as good with that sword as you think you are, Gideon Nav, said the Marshal of Dearborough. And one day I'll flay you for disrespect. One day we will use your parts for paper. Wow. One day the sisters of the locked tomb will brush the os with your bristles. One day your obedient bones will dust all places you disdain, and may the stones there shine with your fat. There is a muster, Nav, and I command you now to go. Gideon lost her temper. You go, you dead old dog, and you damn well tell her I'm already gone. To her enormous surprise, he wheeled around and stumped back to the dark and slippery tier. He rattled and cursed all the way, and she told herself that she had won before she even woke up that morning. That Crux was an important symbol of control. One last attempt to test if she was stupid enough or cowed enough to walk back behind the old bars, the old cold bars of her prison, the gray and putrid heart of Dearborough, the grayer and more putrid heart of its lady. She pulled her watch out of her pocket and checked it. 20 minutes to go, an hour, quarter, and change. Gideon was home free. Gideon was gone. Nothing and nobody could change that now. Woo! She did it! She escaped! Woo! She wins! Yay, 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 yay. Okay. I am actually overheating right now, but this is fun. I wonder how many, there are a few more pages of this chapter left. I will go right on. Crux is abusing you to anyone who will listen, said a voice from the entryway with 15 minutes to go. He said you made your blade naked to him. He said you offered him sick pornographies. Who the fuck is this? Gideon's palms prickled again. She'd sat back down on her awkward throne of rocks and balanced her watch between her knees, staring at the tiny mechanical hand that counted the minutes. I'm not dumb, Iglamine, she said. Threaten a house official, and I wouldn't make toilet wiper in the cohort. And the pornography? I did offer him stupendous work of a titty nature, and he got offended, said Gideon. It was a very perfect moment. The cohort The cohort's not going to care about that, though. If I mention the cohort, you do know the cohort, right? The cohort I've left to enlist in 33 times? Save the drama, you baby, said her swordmaster. I know of your desires. Iglamine dragged herself into the small light of the landing field. The captain of the house guard had a head of melty scars and a missing leg, which an indifferently talented bone adept had replaced for her. Huh. Okay. Interesting. It bowed horribly and gave her the appearance of a building with the foundations hastily shored up. She was younger than Crux, which is to say, old as balls, but she had a quickness to her, a liveliness that was clean. The marshal was classic ninth, and he was filthy, rotten all the way through. 33 times, repeated Gideon somewhat wearily. She checked back on her clockwork. 14 minutes to go. The last time she jammed me in the lift. The time before that, she turned off the heating, and I got frostbite in 3 toes. Time before that, she poisoned my food and had me crapping blood for a month. Need I go on? Her teacher was unmoved. There was no disservice done. You didn't get her permission. I'm allowed to apply for the military, Captain. I'm indentured, not a slave. I'm no fiscal use to her here. Beside the point, you chose a bad day to fly the coop. Iglamine jerked her head downward. There's house business, and you're wanted downstairs. This is her being sad and desperate, said Gideon. This is her obsession. This is her need for control. There's nothing she can do. I'll keep my nose clean, keep my mouth shut. You can write this down, you can quote me here. Do my duty to the ninth house. But don't pretend at me, Iglamine, that the moment I go down there, a sack won't come down over my head, and I won't spend the next 5 weeks concussed in an os. Man, I'm gonna have to learn some of these words here. You egotistical fetus! You think Our Lady ran the muster call just for you? So here's the thing. Your lady would set the locked tomb on fire if it meant I'd never see another sky, Gideon said, looking up. Your lady would stone cold eat a baby if it meant she got to lock me up infinitely. Wow. Your lady would slather burning turds on the great aunts if she thought it would ruin my day. Your lady is the nastiest... When Iglamine slapped her, it had none of the trembling affrontedness Crux might have slapped her with. She simply backhanded Gideon the way you might hit a barking animal. Gideon's head was starry with pain. You forget yourself, Gideon Nav, her teacher said shortly. You're no slave, but you will serve the house of the ninth until the day you die, and then thereafter, and you'll commit no sin of perfidy in my heir. The bell was real. Will you come to muster of your own accord, or will you disgrace me? There was a time when she had done many things to avoid disgracing Iglamine. It was easy to be a disgrace in a vacuum, but she had a soft spot for the old soldier. Nobody had ever loved her in the house of the ninth, and certainly Iglamine did not love her, and would have laughed herself to her overdue death at the idea. But in her had been a measure of tolerance, a willingness to loosen the leash and see what Gideon could do with free rein. Gideon loved free rein. Iglamine had convinced the house to put a sword in Gideon's hands, not to waste her on serving altar or drudging in the os. Iglamine wasn't faithless. Gideon looked down and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. She saw blood in her saliva and saw her sword. She loved her sword so much she could frickin' marry it. But she also saw her clock's minute hand ticking down. 12 minutes to go. You didn't cut loose by going soft. For all its moldering brittleness, the ninth was hard as iron. I guess I'll disgrace you, Gideon said easily. I feel like I was born to it. I'm naturally demeaning, she admitted. Her swordmaster held her gaze with her aged hawk's face and her pouchy socket of the eye, and it was grim, but Gideon didn't look away. It would have made it somewhat easier if Iglamine had made a crux out of it and cursed her lavishly, but all she said was, "Such a quick study, and you still don't understand. That's on my head, I suppose. The more you struggle against the ninth Nav, the deeper it takes you. The louder you curse it, the louder they'll have you scream." Back straight as a poker, Iglamine walked away with her funny seesawing walk, and Gideon felt as though she'd failed a test. It didn't matter, she told herself. 2 down, none to go. 11 minutes until landing, her clockwork told her. 11 minutes and she was out. That was the only thing that mattered. That was the only thing that had mattered since a much younger Gideon had realized that, unless she did something drastic, she was gonna die here down in the dark. And worst of all, that would only be the beginning. Nav was a Niner name, but Gideon didn't know where she'd been born. The remote, insensate planet where she lived was home to both a stronghold of the house and a tiny prison, used only for those criminals whose crimes were too repugnant for their own houses to rehabilitate them on home turf. She'd never seen the place. The ninth house was an enormous hole cracked vertically into the planet's core, and the prison, a bubble installation set halfway up into the atmosphere, where the living conditions were probably a hell of a lot more clement. One day, 18 years ago, Gideon's mother had tumbled down the middle of the shaft in a drag chute in a battered hazard suit, like some moth drifting slowly down into the dark. The suit had been out of power for a couple of minutes. The woman landed brain dead. All the battery power had been sucked away by a biocontainer plugged into the suit, the kind you'd carry a transplant limb in, and inside that container was Gideon, only a day old. This was obviously mysterious as hell. Gideon had spent her life poring over the facts. The woman must have run out of juice an hour before landing. It was impossible that she would have cleared gravity from a drop above the planet, as her simple has would have exploded. The prison, which recorded every coming and going obsessively, denied her as an escapee. Some of the non-adepts of the locked tomb were sent for, those who knew the secrets for caging ghosts. Even they, old in their power then, seasoned necromancers of the dark and powerful House of the Ninth, couldn't rip the woman's shade back to explain herself. She would not be tempted back for fresh blood or old. She was too far gone by the time the exhausted nuns had tethered her by force, as though death had been a catalyst for the woman to hit the ground running, and they only got one word out of her. She screamed, "Gideon, Gideon, Gideon," 3 times and fled. The ninth, enigmatic Kenny Ninth, the house of the sewn tongue, the anchorite's house, the house of heretical secrets, was nonplussed at having an infant on their hands. They moved fast anyway. The ninth had historically filled its halls with penitents from other houses, mystics and pilgrims who found the call of this dreary order more attractive than their own birthrights. In the antiquated rules of those supplicants which moved between the 8 great households, she was taken as a very small bondswoman, not of the ninth, but beholden to it. What greater death could be accrued than that of being brought up? What position more honorable than vassal to Deirdre? Let the baby grow up postulant. Push the child to be an oblate. Oblate? I think oblate. They chipped her, surnamed her, and put her in the nursery. At that time, the tiny ninth house boasted 200 children between infancy and 19 years of age, and Gideon was numbered 201st. Less than 2 years later, Gideon Nav would be one of only 3 children left. Herself, a much older boy, and the infant heir of the ninth house, daughter of its lord and lady. They knew by age 5 that she was not a necromancer, and suspected by 8 that she would never be a nun. Certainly, they would have known by 10 that she knew too much, that she could never be allowed to go. Gideon's appeals to better natures, financial awards, moral obligations, outlined plans, and simple attempts to run away numbered 86 by the time she was 18. She'd started when she was 4. Okay. Let me check if the internet is back on. The answer is no, so I could read forward. But here is what I'm learning so far about this book. Number one, there are a lot of words I do not know here, and I don't have a dictionary on me, so I'm gonna have to figure out what these words are later. Number two, the dialogue is hilarious. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a super serious thing or not, but the dialogue is absolutely hilarious. And number three, the scenery, I'm a little confused by the scenery, actually. It kind of still sounds like this is, like, the inside of a giant corpse, but, like, it feels, I don't know, it feels kind of weird. Like, there's not too much detail, I think. It's just, like, I'm a little confused. I'm having a hard time, like, visualizing. I'm also having a hard time reading, apparently, because this is the first time I've read a book, besides a textbook, it's probably been a few months. But reading out loud, I haven't done that in a long, long time. And so my brain is just like, blah, what are words? So sorry about that, and also sorry about AC, but I am overheating as fuck. But, yeah, I've got theories. I've got many questions that I hope get answered. Like, especially about the scenery. So they're, like, Iglamine and Crux are, like, they're old and about to die, right? They're either old and about to die, or they've died and been brought back to life through necromancy. It might be I'm not sure which one it is, but they can talk, they have some skin, but the skin is falling apart, some of it, and so are some of their bones, and then there are actual skeletons. There are actual, like, real skeletons that are part of a cohort or something. I don't understand, like, what the cohort is. I don't think the cohort was not mentioned in the house's contents, I don't think. Yeah, so what is happening here? Yeah, I don't really know what's going on, so maybe I'll learn more of it in chapter 2. I'm sure this will be easier to read. How many pages is this? Oh, it's 10 pages, not bad at all. But I also, the 3 looked nice there. But anyway, I need water, I need a break, I need to lie down because my legs are hurting, I need to cool off because I'm overheating. Just needs to take care of my body now, so I'm taking a break. Yo, bye.